noon in Kyiv. You're watching Our Time. Natalia Sobet is here in the studio for you. And right now, I'll tell you the most important news at this hour. In Zaporizhzhia, the work to eliminate the aftermath of last night's massive Russian shelling has been completed. 19 people were injured, 8 of whom have been hospitalized. Residential and city infrastructure were hit. 31 apartment buildings and 20 private houses were damaged. Large-scale fires broke out at 5 locations. In addition, a dormitory at one of the universities was hit, with people inside at the time. In total, Russia carried out 11 strikes on the city. At one of the sites, 2 people were rescued. A total of 152 people have already filed reports about damaged or destroyed housing. Utility services are working to eliminate the consequences and repair the infrastructure. Because of the attack, some residential buildings lost electricity and gas supply. More than 50 pieces of equipment and 230 people have been involved in the restoration work.
It was a nightmare. How can I even explain it to you? It was all just terrible. My child and I had just stepped into the hallway a few seconds before the strike, and that was it. That literally saved us. I don't know, if we had stayed in the room, everything in there was destroyed.
Every year, the number of civilian casualties from the war in Ukraine keeps growing. According to the UN, in 2025, that number increased by a quarter compared to the same period last year. The number of wounded has multiplied by 75%. According to the UN Human Rights Monitoring Mission, this year, Russia has significantly increased its use of long-range weapons, which has led to a rise in the number of deaths in major cities. For example, in Kyiv, the number of civilian casualties in the first 10 months of this year was almost 4 times higher than for the entire previous year. In addition, residential buildings and civilian infrastructure are being destroyed across the country, and the strain on Ukraine's energy system is increasing. Each new attack further intensifies the psychological pressure on the population. Latvia's Foreign Minister Baiba Braže has arrived in Kyiv. She shared this on social media platform X and noted that she came to support her Ukrainian friends in their fight for a sustainable and peaceful future for Europe. At the train station, she was met by Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha. The Latvian government and all the people support Ukraine, Braže emphasized. It is also planned that this week, U.S. Army Minister Daniel Driscoll will arrive in Kyiv. As stated by the head of the president's office, Andriy Yermak, Ukraine is ready to continue working as quickly as possible to end the war. He also noted that a good foundation was laid in Geneva, and both President Zelenskyy and the entire team in Kyiv are committed to further work. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy hopes to personally meet with White House Chief Donald Trump as early as this week to coordinate a plan to end the war. Thanksgiving Day, which is celebrated in the U.S. this year on November 27th, as well as the days closest to it, are being considered as possible dates. This was stated in an interview with the American portal Axios by the head of the Ukrainian president's office, Andriy Yermak. According to him, the current version of the plan serves Ukraine's interests and does not contradict its red lines in anything except for a few issues, such as territorial ones. And it is precisely these issues that the president of Ukraine would like to discuss personally with Donald Trump. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump is ready to personally meet with Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelenskyy and Russian dictator Putin, but only when the peace plan is fully agreed upon or is in its final stage. Trump announced this on the social network Truth Social. He noted that his team has made significant progress over the past week in working on the agreements. To finalize the document, Trump will send his special envoy Steve Witkoff to Moscow next week for negotiations with Putin. And U.S. Secretary of the Army Dan Driscoll is expected to hold meetings with the Ukrainian side.
Over the past week, my team has made significant progress on the issue of ending Russia's war against Ukraine. The original 28-point peace plan developed by the United States has been revised to incorporate additional proposals from both sides. There are only a few points left on which there is no agreement. I hope to meet with Zelenskyy and Putin in the near future, but only when the agreement to end the war is final or in its final stage. Donald Trump, President of the United States, on the social network Truth Social.
Meanwhile, the war in Ukraine could end by the end of the year. This optimistic statement was made by NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. At the same time, he is convinced that Russia will continue to pose a threat to all of Europe for a long time, even after a ceasefire agreement is signed in Ukraine. In addition, Rutte emphasized that Moscow has neither a say nor a veto regarding who can become a member of NATO.
At the Washington summit, we decided that Ukraine's path to NATO is irreversible. At the same time, several allies, including the United States, stated that they do not support Ukraine's accession at this time. If NATO membership is not being considered as an option, then on our part, we must provide sufficiently reliable security guarantees and create conditions so that Russia never tries to attack again. Mark Rutte, NATO Secretary General, in an interview with El País.
Ukraine will receive weapons under the Pearl program worth $5 billion by the end of the year. This was also stated by NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. European countries have made a significant contribution to this process over the past several years. However, certain capabilities can only be provided by the United States. Rutte noted that Ukraine receives about $1 billion worth of weapons every month. The first priority for the EU is a peace agreement that will ensure real security for Ukraine and Europe. This was stated by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen during her speech in the European Parliament. According to her, the agreement should not impose any restrictions on the Ukrainian armed forces. And the second key priority is the unconditional respect for Ukraine's sovereignty and the inadmissibility of changing borders.
The key priority is that any agreement must ensure a just and lasting peace, and it must guarantee real security for both Ukraine and Europe. As a sovereign state, Ukraine can't have any restrictions on its armed forces that would make the country vulnerable to future attacks. And this applies both to deterrence and to the security of Europe. After all, Ukraine's security is Europe's security. That is why Kyiv needs reliable, long-term, and trustworthy security guarantees.
Meanwhile, Denmark's Minister for European Affairs, Marie Bjerre, stated that supporting Ukraine is necessary both for its defense and for the security of Europe. Russia continues its military and hybrid attacks despite Ukraine's pursuit of peace. Bjerre expressed hope for positive results from the efforts of the United States and appreciated the progress made at the meeting in Geneva.
In connection with the ongoing negotiations, I would like to remind everyone of the principle of peace that our leaders agreed upon in the European Council. Negotiations about Ukraine are impossible without Ukraine. Negotiations that affect European security are impossible without Europe's participation. The security of Ukraine and Europe are interconnected. Any agreement must include strong and reliable security guarantees that will deter future Russian aggression. Peace must respect the independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of Ukraine. Any truce or ceasefire must be part of a process leading to a comprehensive peace agreement. Our joint approach is to achieve peace through strength.
European Union foreign ministers will discuss a peace plan for Ukraine today. An extraordinary meeting of the EU Council was convened by the head of European diplomacy, Kaja Kallas. The meeting will be held in a virtual format. Let me remind you, the U.S. and Ukraine developed a new 19-point peace agreement during negotiations in Geneva. The most politically sensitive issues have been left for consideration by the presidents of both countries. The United Kingdom is ready, together with the EU, to finance Ukraine using frozen Russian assets. This was stated by UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer during an online meeting of the Coalition of Willing Countries yesterday. He emphasized that Ukraine needs support right now so it can continue its fight. According to Starmer, this support requires urgent decisions on issues such as funding and future opportunities.
The United Kingdom is ready to cooperate with the EU in providing financial support based on the value of immobilized assets. This is the best way to show Putin that he needs to negotiate, not just try to wait things out. We've all seen the attacks that continue day after day, night after night. They've been extremely intense over the past week. That's why the United Kingdom will soon deliver more air defense missiles. I urge everyone to also make an effort and consider what additional support you can provide, especially now as we head into winter.
The EU is working on a plan B in case the reparations loan to Ukraine fails. This was reported by Politico. According to the publication, this is necessary so that Kyiv does not end up without funding at the beginning of 2026. We're talking about a reparations loan of 140 billion euros. But in Belgium, where most of the Russian assets are held, there are concerns about the legal liability and consequences of such a decision. Nevertheless, the European Union is looking for ways to resolve this issue so that EU leaders can approve it at the summit on December 18th.
Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.